Hello. So for today's class, we'll talk about the big picture of cybersecurity. So when we talk about cybersecurity, we always need to deal with the security of the system itself. Let's say the operating system, maybe hosting the files, records about database, some accounting information, logs. So everything included in the systems, we need to be make sure the security. Okay. Another thing is about the security of information in transition over the network. Here is another issue we need to pay attention of, because in nowadays we have a lot of e-commerce transaction, like when you place the order, say to the seller, and then the seller receive your record. Also, when you do the payment, those payment we send it through the third-party API, the banking credit card. So this also include the bank itself. They also offer like online banking. And for those that have security, like confidential emails will be included. And we also try to transfer some files, records, also some like authorization message. So all these will transfer through the network. So that's why we need to make sure when we send a message out, there's like also a data is like nobody else can able to steal, read, or like with the authorized usage. This we need to pay attention of. For the basic components of the security, first, we always talk about the CIA. So the first one is the confidentiality. So what's confidentiality is keep the data and resources secret or high. And the integrity is ensure authorized modification. So include like correctness and truthfulness. So always when we talk about integrity, we will talk about data integrity or region integrity. So that when we say is I. And availability is about ensure authorized access to data and resources. Okay, so kind of when we do the C, that means we need to keep a secret. That means we need to set the correct file permission. We can do it in this way. And then for writing, for the I integrity or availability, then for the user account available to read it. Okay, so accountability ensure the entirety action is like traceable, unique to the entirety. Okay, also security assurance. So assurance that all the four objects are met. So here the additional for NST. So that's the basic. So if we ask what's CIA, then you should know and able to tell what's CIA. Long time ago, when we talk about physical security, just to make sure when they would take on paper, put it in the locker, lock it with using really physical key, using a lock. Also for the administrative security, then we will include like control access to the materials, personnel, screening, auditing. But nowadays, because we have the internet involved, and then we open lots of resources open to public. So emergence of the internet and distributed system, so we increase the complexity of the system. And then second, about the digital information need to keep secure. Everything will be not only storing paper, because paper we need to like physically to access it, but when everything turns to digital and hosting on the cloud, and most of the time the server will be open to public or able to access, then it will be more increase the risk. Then we need to think about the competitive advantage, protection of assets, also liability or responsibility of this. And also one more thing about the financial laws, we need to think about, because once most of the time we watch the news, maybe they lost the customer information or they steal from the transactions, and so with a lot. Also, we have the national defense. protection of the critical infrastructure, so maybe the air transportation, power grid, or the interlink of government agencies. So all this will increase the difficulty and to the cybersecurity. Okay. You can sometimes talk about like what's the biggest 5 information security challenge. It's time to discuss, but I will jump on. And then we also need to think about, like, let's say, really common cloud security, human factors, growing capacity of the technology, usable of security, just like the password, also the advanced threats like misinformation. So a threat is a potential violation of security. So it's a violation need not actually occur. So it may be potential. So the fact of the violation may occur is a threat. It's important to guide us against the threat, and then also to be prepared for the actual violation. So the actual violation, we call that an attack. Okay. Here's an example of the attack we call the spoofing. So spoofing is that if you can check. So we have the attacker have a real IP address. Let's say it's a 1111. Through the, if you remember the layer, like we have the IP and then transfer through the TCP. So we say, and then spoofing, we are like pretend it's a 3333, and then try to send to the destination 2222. So go through the internet. So this one is cloud, and then through the internet router. Then we just thinking, okay, the source is like 33, and we send to the 222, okay, give forward. And then when the victim receive it, so like here's our destination IP is 2222. So when it look at it, so okay, where it's from is 33. So I believe it should be a trusted host. But that one could be just like tag the OS tag. So they don't know. So it's called spoofing. So they just like hide the original IP, pretending there's some source. Okay, and one of attack denial the surface of attack. So it's right here. So the attacker will have a controller, and then we set up lots of zombie. So if you remember what I mentioned, I was a zombie computer. Also all the like all those like cloud computing. So when you set up, they inject certain files, they will execute, they will take all your resources, they will try to ping you, and they try to attack to the victim. So they, if you remember the handshake, we mentioned the 3-way handshake. So it's like one of the ways, so just keep pinging, asking for reply. So it will, once the computer or the server spend all the resources, processing resources to reply to the ping, then itself will be overloaded. Okay. And another type of attack is called the man-in-the-middle attack. So normally when we transfer from a client to the server, so we would have direct connection. But actually we have what's called a spoofing certificate. If you remember in the practice I mentioned was the SSL, like when we're using HTTPS. So actually it's possible, we pretend. And when they have a man in the middle, especially because all the transaction we have called the nodes in between. So from our source, like our client connect to the server, we are not only have a direct connection, but we will pass through all different nodes. So hacker, if in the middle, or like let you to send it through there as a middleman. So they will see all your data transfer to the their destination. That's how they did. And here's the common security attacks. But if in case I ask you, what's the possible attack, you need to know, like we have interruption, delay, denial of receipt, or denial of service, system access, or information become unavailable or are rendered unavailable. And then we have like interception of snooping. Unauthorized parties gain the access to the information by browser through the files of written communications. And they will like modification, alteration, will be unauthorized party. It will change the information in transit or information stored for subsequent access. So here's the difference. Interception is like getting the access of information, and then modification is like changing the information. Fabrication or masquerade or like spoofing, we mentioned above. So it's explorers information is inserted into a system or a network by making it appear as if from a legitimate entity. So not be confused with the delegation. Right. And then also repudiation of the origin, so fail the denial that entity creates something. So there's a possible common security attack. So we need to remember. Okay, so attack queue chain. So there's a 7 stage. So the first one is a recognizes. So they were scanning the environment or harvest the information from the social media to get it, and then second, we will like weaponization. So pairing the malicious code with and like expose it to create a weapon. So maybe some software file, and then they will deliver so transmission of a weapon. So we send to the target, exportation, and then once they deliver, when they trigger actions and like open it, so they will export the vulnerability of it. And once the weapon is installed on the system, that's what they do. Like always, we require to do install. So they will a command channel for remote and manipulate of a return. Finally, action on the objects of the hands-on access of attacker. So here's the 4 or 7 stage cyber attack. So most of the time, like we cannot prevent the attacker they prefer. So always we will face is the stage 3. That's what we get when we receive. So always like pay attention or like be aware, like in between step 3 and 4. When we receive it, we need to be careful, like where the source they're sending from, or like is any content is weird, then we need to be aware of it. Here's the big list showing the firmware, so you can look into details just for example. Okay, and then classes of the threat. So disclosure, so will be the unauthorized access to information. So you should able to tell like, one of example like deceptions, accident of like fail, false data, modification, masquerading, and then disruption. So we are into a prevent and correct operation. So this called modification. Usurpation. So we have the unauthorized control of a system components. So like including the modification, okay, masquerading, spoofing, or delay, denial of service. These are possible. Just like try to remember some possible case. Okay. And as a security, we always like try to prevent something happens. So it's prevention, and how can we prevent? Also, try to do detection. So always I try to detect the activities that invalidate the policy. So like when we need to check what's the policy and verify the efficiency of a prevention mechanism. And the first step may be help us to block certain percentage of risk, but we're still able, like, but the attacker is still able to attack us. But when we really going to happen, like unluckily being attacked, then what should we do say for the recovery? So we need to stop the policy violation, so that stop the attacks. And then we need to able to like assess or repair damage, ensure the availability person of ongoing attack, and fix the vulnerability for preventing the future attack, and then retaliation against the attacker. So that's what we need to do. About the policy mechanism, secure policy states is what is or is not allowed. So defined as a security of size system for this thing. So we can be defined as informal or formal. You can think about a mechanism, enforce the policy or composition of policy. So if a policy conflicts, then discriminations may create security vulnerability. So we may think, okay, so if we're looking for the information assurance, So Information Assurance Advice Council, we have including for the or the National Institute of Standard Technology. So we all talk about it. So right here, the assurance is the basis of the confidence that the security measure both technical and operational worth as an intense supported system and information in process. So he's all like introducing assumption and trust about that policy mechanism as like implicit assumption. So all those assumptions regarding the policies were unambiguously like partition system stated into secure or non-secure state. Also like correctly capture the security requirement. So this is the assumption about the policy. And then the mechanism is actually like enforce the policy. Ensure the system does not enter the non-secure state, support the mechanism work correctly. So he's about policy and the mechanism. Assurance will be like indicate how much to trust the system and is achieved by ensuring that first the required functionality is present and correctly implemented and sufficient protection against the unintentional errors and also sufficient resistance to intentional prevention or bypass. We have called bypass. We always say if you follow the regular flow, like step 1, 2, 3, but sometimes like how can I bypass that? Can I don't do step 2? Then I can jump from step 1 to 3. So we need to know the basis of or determine this aspect of trust, like specification, requirements, analysis, statement of design functionality or the design itself. So try to translate the specification into the components that satisfy the specification, and then finally implementation, the program system is okay. And the operational issue is like the cost benefit analysis. We also need to think about the benefits versus the total cost. Of course, I say I spend all the money to like build a firewall policy, like have more like hiring the team for that, but is that cost is worth to bring the same benefit? So we need to compare. It's a trade-off. And the risk analysis, should we like protect something? What should we protect? And then how much should we protect? So every things that really depends on the environment, the risk will change. Also, it change with the time. And then laws and customs, okay, are they designed for a security measure illegally, or like with people really doing that, or will they affect the availability and use of technology? So this is what we need to think about it. And when we keep move on about what is the organizational problem. So in the organization, they have the different role, and different role, they have their own power, their own responsibility. And also inside the organization, we always talk about the financial benefits. So all this will cause the security, because when they certain role, they have high power, and then they will take more responsibility. Also, if you set lower privilege, will they affect the like efficient? Will they affect their income? So all this will be a problem. And also we have people some problems outside the inside the. And like outside that, we are like out of the organization, out of the not inside company, inside the man who know all the some maybe security information data, maybe they grant certain access to the system. So then we need to think like who are the real the factors. Okay, so also about the social engineering, or like let the people sharing the information. So the whole life cycle, it goes like the first go to the policy. So when we have the first, so it's nothing, and then we need to have policy. When policy, we have the specification, and we need to design. After the finished design, we have the implementation. So finally, we have the now implement. Then we go into the operation and maintenance. Is it possible that we are going back from operation? So it's like all the life cycle is possible. We jump back to a certain stage, like certain point, and then to change it. Maybe social media or like the whole environment technology change. Let's say right now the AI comes out, then we need to know, okay, we need to go back to maybe new specification to change and then design again and implement a new policy like this. So we can talk about it. So you have some time to think about it, like about unknowns and uncertainties. You can think about it. Okay. Then next we move on to the cybersecurity strategy. So what should we work on? Like about the strategy itself, like business strategy, the business art, like enterprise security, they have a lot. And then we move on to the structure itself, maybe the program, governance, or like organization, all these, and then goes down a little bit like about the process, like risk management, incident report, standards, like baseline, all this, and then finally the people, skill, access, awareness were here. And all these, like they belong, they have like data security, application security, endpoint security, network security, perimeter security. So all these, and we need to always like doing like identify, try to do protect, detect, respond, recover. So right here it belong to like which layer. So you need to know. Okay. Just need to know the cybersecurity policy as a standard of behavior for activities such as the encryption of email, attention, restriction of use of social media, all these the policy. So you can refer to here. So for the cybersecurity team, we will like work on more like policy standards, maybe the centralized management, they will do this like, and then for the stakeholder, they will maybe care more about the procedure. So also they have like control mirrored. So that's how they working together. Possible policy, right here some like examples. So acceptable user policy, remote access policy. So it's pretty common. Let's say if we are working somewhere, we need to remotely connect to somewhere. So are we going to open certain port or the account can able to access it? And the like all this like really on the firewall setting and using the email encryption policy, password policy. So how to set up the password, let's say the length, combination, like uppercase, lowercase, special characters, anything like the social media policy was to use the social media, like what kind of information you're allowed to post, or can you post on the contents related to maybe your company security stuff, login information, all these things right here. The security policy will be mainly can be available. So all this will be available. You can check it for the protection. So we may access right here. And then maybe the data security. So just like for your reference, you can look at it. And also like acceptable use policy and password policy, you can see. And then first, the landscape will move on. When we think of, let's say, as a example, okay, type of house, like with different, so we have the ad tagging service, so itself, like then when we're going on the neighbors, like business, politics, so tornado, right here, all this will be called the fact landscape. So this one, adversary, so all the ill-intentioned third actor carry mischievous activities for a gate, the effect vector, the techniques or mechanism carry on the by a third actor. So here's the definition. You can you need to remember. So far here's the example. So you can see right here we have like RDP, we can be attacked against like teleworking infrastructure, and also like some fraudulent domains, SMS, pushing, email, right here, fake testing app. So attacking they have organization. All these can be that affects landscape. Okay. So right here is one of report, so you can look at it if you're interested and keep going. So for the actors, the group of individuals responsible for cyber attack. So the trials and the characteristics of the group available from community sources of intelligence. They are pretty open resources, intelligence you can refer to. And those type what the types. So there are several types of each have their own like motivation of available resources, like script kiddings, hacking privilege, organization crime, nation state, inside effects, competitor. So they are all possible. Over here, for the script they will run already make a script without deep technical understanding of how it actually work. So we say, so usually external, sometimes maybe internal. So I say, okay. So for certification, so coverage is pretty low, just like we rely on the tooth query by the others. So non-fun. So this one is much more like thirds of the hunt or like Wendonism, recognition of mass overrun. So then this type. And then hacker with, okay, so they are hacker with a cause, like seeking to cause a disruption. So the DOS, leaking document, defending website. So these are most common we see. So it's most like external, they want to hang to the system. So it's a medium level. So when sometimes they have really limited resources, some of them of group like because they do in purpose, hiring by some certain vendors, we don't know. So they always have fundraising capability. Ideological or political social change. So all these will be possible. For the organized crime, so they're much more like professional criminal. So one person hacks, one exports, or like one sells data, or like one handle money or handle the communication. So they really working as a team from external. So they do it. So it's really high in here. So most of their purpose, they were getting lots of funding to carry out this attack. So mainly just like try to get the money. So money is the most motivation to like, okay, national will be government or military. So also really very high for the certification, and they are really like highly support like backing up from the government. They are mainly talking about national security. This one mainly, for different countries, they try to attacking each other's. Pretty common if you know China, they're doing Russia, they're really common. They're insider. So maybe their employees or member inside the organization looking like under major operation, like disrupt the employee. So it's mainly internal. So kind of like they pretty low, but because they know the internal operation, so they have a knowledge inside. So they got to know the pressure part, so they are able to do it. Most of the time, they just say, no, need funding, they don't do it. Those are like rankings, retribution paid by the third party, like still the internal information. And competitors, like any business, try to compete. So, from external, sometimes depends on medium high, and they pay for you to do that. Could be really well funded because they want to just a competitive advantage and to make your operation still the security of some like document. That's how it works. So right here, there's some groups if a common. So right here, they have a beer, they call it Buffalo Vietnamese. Okay, so you can just like follow here if you're interested. And that's it for the class for this one, about just a whole picture about the cybersecurity. So like you will know different way of attack for purpose. So you can look at it. And thank you.